Hey everybody, thanks a lot for joining me, and thank you to all of you on Snapchat who told me you need to do this video ASAP when I started showing this palette. This is the LORAC Mega Pro 2. This is probably one of the most anticipated palette launches of the holiday season. Now this video is going up on a Saturday. On Sunday, this palette officially launches at Ulta in-store and online. At least that's what my email said. How did I get it early? I actually had gotten an email last weekend saying you're a part of the Platinum Perk program, and if you want to go ahead and order this palette now, you can do it one day only early. So I went ahead and ordered it, and I got it like 2 days later. So once I started flashing this around on Snapchat, you guys are like, show us more. So in this video, I'll show swatches. We'll just talk overall quality. Several of you mentioned possibly giving some comparisons to the Mega Pro 1 that came out last year at this time, and I'll also give some comparisons to just the regular LORAC Pro 1 and 2 palettes. Now this is the Mega Pro 1. I do recall this being kind of a disorganized mess, kind of a cluster to try to get your hands on this palette last year. The launch dates seem to be kind of all over the place. I remember thinking I missed out on it, and I emailed LORAC and they're like, yep, you missed out, and then it came back on Amazon or something, and I did end up getting it. But I do want to just kind of point out a few things about this before jumping into the new. If you were to cover up like this much of this palette, see how incredibly neutral this is? You know, it's a lot of light and mid-tone shades, and it's just like all about the little nuances. There's just very subtle differences between them. Then you open it up to this side of the palette and you start to see more color, but any shade in here that's really bright enough to show up colorfully on the eyes is going to be kind of a purple or berry type shade. So definitely talking about this one here, this one, potentially these two right up here. Any other shade over here that's kind of outside of the typical neutral family, maybe deep teal, is so dark that it doesn't really show up with a lot of teal color payoff. So really what you're looking at here is kind of a berry palette with a lot of neutrals. You guys know I'm a huge fan of those kinds of berry shades, so I'm not gonna get this and be like, oh man, I'm disappointed at the lack of variety. I really like this palette, but I was a little surprised that with so many shades in here, there really wasn't more overall variety in the kinds of looks you would get. So now that will hopefully put into context a little bit more the Mega Pro 2 that's come out, which I feel at a glance, you can definitely see it has a broader color variety happening here. You've got extremely warm shades, some very cool shades. You know, they give you a little taste of that berry vibe that they gave you in the other palette, but overall, it's really all over the place. I would say there are more colorful directions that you can go in with this palette, but there's nothing that I would hesitate to wear. You know, I feel like it's all totally wearable. I was playing around with this blue shade the other day and absolutely loved it. And then, you know, you can go very warm, kind of sunset vibe with some of the things happening up here. But another thing to note about the layout, LORAC stays very true to their layout, don't they? Like in the just regular skinny palettes, you know, you've got the top row that's all matte, bottom row's all shimmer. In these Mega Pro palettes, they give you 2 rows of matte and 2 rows of shimmer. They give the shades normal names like purple, black. Quality-wise, I have raved and raved on the LORAC Pro eyeshadows over the years. They've got a couple of fantastic palettes with the LORAC Pro 1. I think this is one of the most basic, most like must-have type of palettes out there because it really gives you a range of just all of your classic basic shadows you might want. Then the LORAC Pro 2. Over the past year, I've really made a point to use this palette more and have enjoyed it so much. The navy, the plum, just the different twists on shades that they put in this palette. I've really enjoyed it. The shadows have a soft, kind of buttery, creamy feel to the touch. The mattes are very intense. The shimmers are also very intense as well. Something you'll notice when you put a brush into these shades is that they can kick up a little bit of dusty powderiness. That's always something I've come to expect with these kinds of palettes. It's definitely something where you're going to want to tap into your shadow and then tap off some of the excess. process just to, I think, build up shadow more gradually on the eyes as opposed to overloading yourself. But if you are thinking about buying this palette and you just wanted some reassurance, you know, is this the same kind of formula I've come to know and love from my other LORAC Pro palettes? It definitely is. I wanted to show you swatches of all the matte shades together so you can really get a feel for the range you've got going on here. Top row, there's, you know, a lot of neutral. You've got some great just medium browns that everyone loves to have for the crease. Loving melon, tangerine. You've also got a super dark green called Forest here, and I almost wish they would have expanded the green color selection in this palette a bit more. Maybe that's coming in the Mega Pro 3. But Forest is really beautiful, and you can bring out more of that green color if you layer it with one of the lighter, more shimmery shades. Then in the next row, lavender, purple, very cool purpley shades. That particular purple is almost bordering a little bit on blue, and I kind of like that because so many purples, including so much of what was in the Mega Pro 1, was a very like pinkish berry type vibe. So it's really fun to have that nice classic purple. Loving Goji and Sorbet. Cabernet is fabulous. Ash, black, great basics. Then going down into your shimmery shades, you've got a lot of light shimmery colors. I was a little surprised that there's really 5 shimmery shades in here that are very light and very close together. You've also got great mid-tone neutrals that could make a one shadow look if you're just like, I need to use this palette in a hurry. Cinnamon would be great for that. Sandstone would be great for that. Gunmetal is gorgeous. This blue quartz is a lot of fun. I'm thinking that's going to be like a lower lash line pop for me on several occasions. Penny is one of my all-stars of the entire palette. I think that's gorgeous. Just the feel of it, the shine of it is really brilliant. Of your shimmery group, you've got some of these very buttery, really shiny metallic shades, and then you've got some that are like just scaled back a notch. You know, I guess I'd call them more of a satin finish, and I'm thinking about chiffon and soft plum. I don't want to say they're weak, but maybe according to the expectations you may have for your LORAC Pro quality shadows, those are going to come off just a little bit softer. I'm not saying they're not pigmented. They're just like a little softer finish, a little less sheen to them. Just giving you the heads up on that. And then Gold Leaf. Not quite everything I was hoping for in a gold in this palette. The gold that I think is absolutely above and beyond is the one that's in that original, just LORAC Pro standard one palette, not the Mega Pro, but the one that's in the black packaging. That's an amazing gold. This gold is more of a yellowish gold, and I didn't love the way it swatched. I thought it was just a little bit light, a little bit flaky, but I did work it into my look today just to see how it applied over a primer, and it improved quite a bit. I really thought the intensity came out of it more. It hung together a little bit more, you know, as I patted it across the lids. In terms of the strongest shades in this palette, absolutely love Tangerine. They nailed it on that orange. Wear it alongside Goji or Cabernet and get that pretty sunset look. Speaking of those two, those are another couple of very strong shades, I think. Those are the other 2 shades that I worked into my look today. I've got Goji all throughout the crease and Cabernet in the outer corner. And then Penny. Penny, I think, is just absolutely brilliant. It's not really as maybe coppery or rose goldy as a standard penny that you might pull out of your pocket might be. It's just got a nice kind of old gold quality to it. It's so soft, it's so metallic. I love that one. Now, I do think this is different enough from the Mega Pro 1 for you to not really see overlap in shades. Now, they did put black, straight up black, in both of these. I don't mind that. In fact, I appreciate that. But you're not going to be running into shade after shade where you're like, oh, that's exactly like this other one. Even shades that appear to be close. And this is one of the things I'm so impressed by with this palette. Even shades that seem like a really close shave, when you swatch them out, they're different. How did they manage to get so many different shades in this palette and still make it a palette full of shades that I feel like are totally wearable, shades that I am completely comfortable wearing on my eyes? How did they do that? I did so many comparisons side by sides with the shades in here. I also compared side by side to the LORAC Pro 1 and 2 palettes, and they really have given you differences in here. In some cases, there are major differences with shades like Tangerine and Forest and Gold Leaf and Purple. And in other cases, maybe some shades like Tawny or Sorbet or Peony, Dark Sienna, you might think those are kind of close to other shades that I I have, and they may be close, but they are not exactly the same. And tell any makeup lover that a shade is close but not exactly the same, and they're like, okay, I guess I need it. But I guess my bottom line on this, you guys know I'm critical of palettes that are really hyped up. I really like to give them a good hard look and think, you know, is this worth someone's hard-earned money? And I really feel that this one is. If you know you enjoy the quality of LORAC Pro eyeshadows, you're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna appreciate, I think, the fact that they've put in so many different kinds of shades in here. The variety of looks you can come up with is really just as broad as your imagination, because you can go, you know, pairing all sorts of different shades together, and it really just promotes makeup playtime. You know, you open up a palette like this with all these colors and it's like, okay, where do I begin? This is going to be fun. Also continue to be very excited about that palette from The Balm, the Greatest Hits palette that I reviewed earlier this week. That's more of a combo palette. You know, it's got some shadows, but it's got some of their blushes and other face products in there as well. So really coming out of the gate, I feel like this year, holiday palette wise, talking about a couple of the palettes that I am extremely impressed by. So I hope this video was useful to you. If you would like to see some tutorials with this palette, please let me know, and I will talk to you again later. Bye.